Sony's been in the news the last couple of days because their latest hero shooter game, Concord, was taken offline just 2 weeks after the game was released. And it was previously reported that this game cost Sony around $200 million to produce. And not only are they taking it offline, but they're also going to be refunding the people who actually did buy a copy of this game. And many critics of the game are basically hailing this as a victory and saying this is what happens when Sony purchases a game and puts it out that's putting politics at the forefront and putting gameplay and quality secondary. And after this, a lot of people are starting to notice, well, maybe that's going to happen with the upcoming Sony release too, that seems to be kind of going the same route. And that's the game Fairgames. And a lot of people have noticed with this trailer that came out about a year ago that it seems to have a heavy political lean to it. I will get more on that in a moment. But if you look at the trailer for it right now, 3.7K likes to 26,000 dislikes. So just like Concord with the trailer for that, this one's also heavily ratioed. It's also going to be a live game, and it's also having politics at the forefront of everything with it. So that's why a lot of people are thinking this is going to be the next big flop for Sony exclusives. But let's look at this article from That Park Place. It's talking about it. After Concord gets shut down, gamers take aim at anti-capitalist Fairgame. And first of all, I love it when there's these major studios like this that'll make like a game that has an anti-capitalist theme to it. I would say it's hypocritical, but I just think they're hoping that their audience for this type of game is just too dumb. But unfortunately, I think most people are smarter than that and are not really going to be interested in this game. But let's continue. In the wake of Firewalk Studio and PlayStation shutting down Concord after just 2 weeks, gamers are already setting their sights on boycotting the anti-capitalist game Fairgames from Haven Studios. Haven Studios, a subsidiary of PlayStation Studios and Sony Interactive Entertainment, announced the game with a CGI trailer back in May 2023. As you can see below, the trailer features a voiceover that states too much money and too much power is held by just a few people, and it's only getting worse, so we decided to do something about it. It then features a team robbing tractor trailers, warehouses, penthouses, and more. One of the things I noticed about this game is it reminds me of that new reimagining of Robin Hood, where Robin is a black female and they're basically a group of rappers. Do people still remember that show? Because that actually existed, but I'm just kind of going off on a tangent right now. The official description attached to the trailer stated, "Welcome to Fairgames, your chance to rob the rich and rebalance the scales." See the Robin Hood similarities. Fairgames is a competitive modern heist game where you team up to break into exotic locations and steal the cargo. The twist, you not only need to outsmart guards and security systems, you also compete against other teams. It concluded, crews that extract with the most loot and flair might just rise to the top of the Fairgames. Take it till you make it. Who will you recruit first for your crew? So just kind of like another online game. A lot of people are saying it's like Payback or whatever, but with like other teams as well playing for the same score. So, okay, yeah, it is what it is, but they're definitely trying to lean into the whole like redistribution of wealth sort of angle. And also just kind of off on a quick sidetrack here. When people try to talk about Robin Hood, they say that like when they mean like redistribute wealth, they say like, oh, rob from the rich and give to the poor or whatever. But that's not really what Robin Hood was about, because if you actually recall the story, Robin Hood was robbing from the government and giving back to the people. What the government was doing was overtaxing the population. So Robin Hood was taking that and giving people their money back. So if anything, the people who would be advocating for this sort of thing should be advocating for less taxes, but that's usually not what they mean. They usually mean more taxation and then redistribute the wealth, aka communism, and we all know that always ends up in starvation and genocide, but that's another story for another topic. I don't really cover that stuff on this channel. In an accompanying blog post, creative director Matthew Leduc, I think that's how it's pronounced, described the game as a fresh modern take on his heist game. In a nutshell, this is a thrilling competitive heist game where you join an underground movement to rob the ultra rich and rebalance the scale. So, okay, so we kind of got into that, but again, just kind of coming back to why this is in the news right now. It's just because of this whole political slant to it, not to mention the fact that this really doesn't seem to be adding anything new because, like I said, we've already have other games like this. So just seems to be more of the same. And that was part of the criticism for Concord when people weren't necessarily talking about the political agenda behind it. They were talking about the fact that it just seems like something that's a derivative of other stuff that we already have out there that's either free to play or significantly cheaper to play. So people, if they already have their chosen game within a certain style, then they don't necessarily want to try to switch to another one unless there's something just revolutionary about it. And it seems like this game just doesn't have that there. Ex-user Manga Lawyer identified Fairgames as the next target of the growing gamer boycott against woke games and their developers. He wrote on X, "Don't worry, Concord, the memes will stop soon. The next Sony exclusive flop will be Fairgames, the ultimate Zoomer AAA." In a subsequent post, he mocked the game's official description. "Welcome to Fairgames, your chance to rob the rich and rebalance the scales. Fairgames is a competitive modern heist game where you team up to break into exotic locations and steal the cargo." To which he just kind of laughed about it. Okay, yeah, whatever. In another post, he added, "Corpos are laughing at you with Concord 2.0 Fairgames, the new PlayStation game telling you to eat the rich. They think you're dumb enough to support their anti-capitalist message while they rake you in endless profits. They deserve every layoff, as do their executives." Yeah, it is pretty insulting to think that they can actually push this type of message on people, because anyone who actually would buy this game clearly doesn't agree with that sort of sentiment that the corporations are the bad guys in this one. But the question now is, will this actually be effective? Well, this article from Games Radar came out today too, and it was talking about it. Concord's massive flop hasn't phased Sony, which reportedly feels very positive about its next live service from an Assassin's Creed veteran. And yes, because there's an Assassin's Creed veteran working on this one, but it seems kind of funny that there's media outlets coming out saying like, "Oh no, Sony feels confident about this game and they think it's going to do well," as if Sony's going to be like, "Oh yeah, we're really concerned about this because Concord was such a huge failure. We're assuming our next one's going to be a failure." First of all, they can never actually say that. So saying that they feel positive about it, well, yeah, they kind of have to say that. As its new hero shooter Concord prepares to go offline, PlayStation is reportedly feeling bullish about one of its next multiplayer endeavors. And like I said, they already kind of explained why they have to say that. They can't ever say anything other than that. Otherwise, their shareholders will try to jump ship, and they don't want to do that. So they'll try to make it seem as if they're confident in it. But you just know that with the way Concord was received and with all the similarities between that and Fairgame, they have to be at least a little bit worried about this one also failing too, because they spent a lot of money on Concord. I haven't checked, but I don't think they spent nearly as much money on this one. So maybe the losses won't be as severe if this one just completely tanks. But right now, a lot of the gamers who are boycotting and rejecting Concord feel more emboldened by that basically being an overwhelming success for them. And we've seen other successes like with Dustborn, for instance. So I think people are going to be more inclined to boycott something like Fairgames when that actually comes out. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see until the game actually comes out. One thing is for sure, though, Sony's kind of being a little bit quiet about it, because the only reason this game is actually in the news right now is because people are basically saying that this is going to be the next failure. And with Sony not putting out any positive messaging surrounding it, the only other word that we're going to have about this game until the time it's finally launched is going to be overwhelmingly negative. So if Sony wants to try to get some people to actually buy the game, then they have to start putting out positive messaging surrounding it. But as soon as they start doing that, then they're going to get the pushback again. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. What do you think is going to actually happen? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. If you can, click that like button and share the video out there because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.